Welcome to Motley Muse. I'm Yvette Stoffer and I painted this beautiful painting. I really enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun. Out of all the classes I've done, I've really enjoyed this one. I'm going to go step by step showing you all the different steps and things that I did. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I check my emails every single day. So just email me. And I hope you have a lot of fun just like I did. The side. Now if you notice my canvas already has plastic, I wanted to show you how to open these. Now I have destroyed my fair share of canvases and it's really, I feel kind of silly because it's really common sense how to fix the problem. Turn it over, make it flat on a table, and then I like to, here, since this is on that side, I'll turn it. This is how I do it without poking holes, because if you put any weight on your canvas, you're going to poke a hole through it, and that's going to be horrible, right? So I take any brush, pop it through, and pull, and then pull. So then that's the easiest way to do it, so you don't end up accidentally, because you know, you don't want to be like this all, day and everything, right? I have destroyed many canvases. Okay, so off to the side. Let's see. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work on the background first. I'm gonna put some yellow. Now I am using acrylic paint. I prefer to paint with acrylic paint. When I was at the university, I studied in all the styles. But in the end of the day, acrylic was where it was at for me. It's the one I prefer the most. It dries faster. You don't need turpentine to wash your brushes. Now the thing is that oil paints have is that you can blend longer, and they are kind of nice for that reason. So if you were doing, for example, if you're doing a painting where there is people, you might want to have the versatility to be able to just blend and blend and blend all day and have a long time to be able to blend. There we go. I like to paint my sides as I go. Painting my sides as I go just kind of helps me. You don't have to if you don't want to. Sometimes you don't need to. There's so many different tricks and painting the sides and using sponges and different techniques at the end if you don't want to paint your side. Today on this one, I am going to paint the side. It will give it a 3D kind of a look. So now that we have half of our canvas in yellow, we're going to let that dry for a minute. And then I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush. Now I dip it in my water. I swirl it around. I'm kind of gentle because this is hog hair, so it's natural hair. So I don't want to kill my brush. But I just kind of slowly wipe it a little bit. I like to bend the brush to get some of that excess water out. And then what I do is I take my paintbrush and I wipe it. Do you see that? With a slight bend, slight bend, kind of soaks up all that water. Oops, I still got some paint in there. That's okay. I'm going to be using this with a darker color later, so it's fine. Okay, so let's see. Now let's start on some water. I'm going to go ahead and add a tiny bit of blue. I don't need a whole lot. And, well, I really should have just added it. I mean, I should have, instead of adding it to my palette, I could have just added it to my canvas. Now, I'm not going to put a lot of thinking into this. I'm just going to let it happen as it happens. It's going to be what it is. Now I am kind of on purpose trying to be horizontal with my brush strokes. You don't have to. However, they I did it wide, now I'm going to do it skinny. And what this is going to do is this is going to help us achieve the look that there's like little rapids going on. That's good. I like it. Be careful, you might get a little bit of green, and I'm not trying to paint the ocean, so I don't really want a whole lot of green. I'm going to go ahead, wash my brush again. Remember, wash it and wipe it. Sort and then bend out the color. And then I'm just going to wipe it. Now this is just a wipe for the moment right now. At the end of the painting, I do go and actually truly put a good wash. And I'm sure you've read my book about brushes. I've written 6 books and I talk all about brushes. I'm not trying to sell a brush. It's about the science of the brush. And I have a whole chapter in there on the proper way to wash a brush. I know, it sounds a tad bit on the boring side, but you know, it's all those little things that we don't think of, and if we take care of our brushes, we save our money for longer. So I'm going to go ahead, move my paint out of the side, and I'm going to take a hairdryer and I'm going to really quickly dry my painting. I recommend you do the same thing. I didn't want to do a full complete dry, just a little bit. And this is the reason why. I'm going to add a tiny bit of red. I don't need a whole lot. I'm going to get, oh, well, I should do a medium. I'm going to do one of these, but I'm going to go for a step small, one step smaller in the brush. I'm going to go for this guy. I'm feeling this. This is a little smaller. A little bit smaller. Still square. Okay. I'm going to add a tiny bit of red. And I'm going to do it. And I'm going to blend. Now, one of the things that was awesome with what I did drawing is I felt that I had applied too much yellow. And so I didn't want to have it overpowering. Now, trust me, it's gonna look hideous, okay? It's supposed to look hideous right now. In it until it's all gonna come together, and then it's gonna be, oh, wow, I totally painted that. Okay. And we're just gonna work on a nice blend. But I do want to keep true yellow, because that's kind of like where the sun is, right? If you need to, you could add a tiny bit of water to make it fluid if it's feeling a little tacky. And blend. Now, if you were going for a modernistic look, then I would recommend not blending a whole lot. Just blending a little tiny bit. And when you're blending a little tiny bit, it's going to look totally awesome, as in like, oh, I meant to do that. Okay, so I've got a little bit of that going. I'm going to go ahead, wash my brush, wipe it. I'm going to go in with some blue, just a little bit, not a lot. And I'm going to add, I'm going to make sure that you can see this on the camera. I'm going to add a little bit on the corners. Oops, I didn't dry all the way, so it's starting to be a little green. I really don't want green, I want blue. I prefer to paint the sides as I'm going, so that way I have the color that I need already that's there, and I don't have to later go back and mix colors to get that same shade. It just makes things way easier for me. I'm going to go ahead, and so to make it easier for me, I'm going to turn my painting. Now, I'm sure you've noticed after watching a lot of my classes, I always am a firm believer of turn your canvas. This is one of the reasons that I really prefer to not use a canvas. When I was in school, or an easel, when I was in school at the university, I went to a really nice prestigious one, Northern Arizona University, and they were very well known for their arts. A lot of famous people have come out of that school. And so anyways, we didn't use easels unless we were using, unless we had a subject that we were viewing live. Other than that, we used drafting tables. Everybody had their own. So that makes things nicer. That's, I don't know, that's just how I was trained, and I've painted a million paintings like that, so now that's how I feel comfortable. Now, I do paint with easels. It happens all the time, especially when I'm like painting live and there's like actually people like in the street watching and stuff like that, then yeah, I do an easel and it's fine, it's okay. And you also get a perspective on like what angle you're looking at things. And so, you know, it's the angle. Every so often, the thing with being on a table is you need to walk away from your painting periodically so you can see it at different angles, because I'm looking at this in this direction. So, yeah. So I got to get up and look at it from not that direction, because there will be viewers seeing my piece that are not seeing it from that angle. Okay. This is coming. It's working. My paint is already a really thick-bodied paint. Yeah, it's not the cheap stuff. I mean, it kind of is because I bought it in bulk and all that stuff, but it's not like super cheap. So it's already really thick, and I want it to blend, but I still want it to have marks because I'm kind of, in a way, making clouds. It don't look like it, and I know it looks hideous right now. I'm fully aware that my painting is looking weird. Totally got it. But I want clouds. I want disruption in the atmosphere. And so, not that I'm making lines, I'm just, you know, I'm dry brushing is what I'm doing to make those clouds. They're naturally just happening. Don't think too much with your painting. Let your paintings happen. Let them be what they are. They're their own unique world, and let them be the world. Okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to add another little layer here. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to take a few seconds. I'm going to dry my painting, and what that's going to do when I do a second coat here, it's going to really stick on better. Now, to fully cure an acrylic paint, I feel that it needs 24 hours to become completely dry before I will put my top coats on them. It feels dry, but it's not all the way dry. So that's kind of where I actually want my painting at this moment. So now I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to take a moment and slow down. Since I have my initial colors, I'm going to go ahead and actually take a moment slow myself down because sometimes I can get carried away, and I'm gonna actually be serious and put a little thought and blend a little bit better. Having the base colors down has already helped a lot with the concept of the blending. Because see how much easier that is? Which, you know, it did have a white background. Also too, if you're painting a painting and it does have white, I recommend to, if your painting has white, I fully, totally recommend that you, sorry, I'm getting all into this, that you paint over the white parts. So if you just leave it exposed and don't put that paint over it, what's going to happen is, if you're hanging your painting where there is smog or smoking or anything, that white part is going to discolor yellow over time. But if you had put a layer of white paint over those white sections that needed to be white, then it's gonna be harder for it to yellow over time, especially if you use a top coat. Now, you don't, with the paint that I'm using, I don't really need to, but people pay me for my art. A lot of my pieces are commissioned pieces, and because of that, I do take the extra step to use the extra money to go ahead and do a top coat on everything. But yeah. Okay, so now we've got that. Okay. So now, my goal is going to be to try to make a little bit of a blend. So see how I have kind of a line forming? I don't want that line. I'm going to try to blendy blenderton. Blend it down, blend it down. But I also don't want to have a green. I mean, which you totally could, right? I mean, you could have a green sky. So all that that's going to entail is several layers of back and forth and dry brushing. And then eventually it'll be a really awesome blend. So just keep on keeping on until you got it nice and pretty and blend it. I'm going to go out here with dry brushing, moving some of that blue onto the yellow. See how it's starting to kind of look like how the red was looking? Just keep on keeping on. Now, if I get brush strokes in my paintings, I totally like it, personally. I'm really into that look. Unless I'm doing, like, if I have a commissioned piece and, like, it's a family portrait or something, then no, I don't want brush strokes when I'm doing realism. But this is Impressionism, so brush strokes are cool. And I've noticed that when I do sell my paintings in galleries, I tend to notice that when there's brush strokes in paintings, those paintings tend to get bought. So I've been trying to keep that going as a motif. Okay, I'm liking it. I think it's looking good. Okay. Don't forget to turn your painting around every so often so you can get a different view and a different look. Okay. This guy's working. Yep, looks like I have clouds. We're going to cover the whole, this is all going to be covered, this is going to be covered. We got a lot of covering going. So remember how I said earlier that it's like a cake and we're going to add many layers. So trust me, it's all going to work out. I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush. I'm going to wipe out the extra paint. Gonna go ahead and add a tiny bit of white. Now I like to add my white to the middle of the palette because in the future, if I want to make a pink, I can pull these two together. Or if I want to make a light blue, I can pull them together and I have more space for mixing. So you don't have to do that. It's my preference and how I like to do things. Okay. So now we're going to be like, where is the sun? So I'm going to put the sun, let's see, where do we want our sun? I feel like it's a little low. I've got a lot of sky going on, Not liking it. I don't like the fact that my sky is way too high. There's too much of it. So I am going to fix my boo-boo. And I'm going to put the sun, yeah, whole bunch of white. That's gonna blend down in with some yellow. Now the sun in this piece is a suggestion. We're not making a circle. I mean, you totally could if you wanted to, but it's more of an idea that there's a sun there, that there's a bright orb in the sky. I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow to my palette. I'm gonna work on that blend. Blendy, blend, blend, blend. I'm having a feeling that this painting might take a while. Yes, I'm liking what I see. It's blending lovely. Some of that red gone. Have to be a little thick there to cover up red. Okay. Got a little bit in that white. Want my center of my little orb here to be very white. Oh, yeah, right there. Right there. Got it. Remember, don't overanalyze. Just let her happen. Let it be what it is. Let it stop. Okay, I'm stopping. Okay, so now I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to work further up. So I'm going to work in some reds and some yellows together. Gonna put down a base of some yellow color. Just the base, and maybe mix in with some of that white a little bit. We don't want any sharp lines when it comes to the orb. Okay, I'm liking it, it's working. If at any time you need to check the reference photo, go ahead and do that. I have it up in the events. Very easy. Sometimes it's good to just go with it, right? Just let it happen. Let it be what it is. I'm gonna add some water. This is really thick body paint. And a lot of, you know what, a lot of the problem I'm having right now is that I've had this paint for a long time. What happens is I tend to, since I'm an art teacher and I have an art studio here in town, I had closed it down due to the COVID situation. It just wasn't lucrative to pay rent on something that the governor wouldn't allow us to have people in, you know, like customers and stuff, that like occupancy and everything. So it just didn't make sense. So I closed it down. And during, you know, business and all that, I would buy my stuff in bulk. I had a lot of bulk items and stuff. And so this paint, I really did this. I bought a palette of paint. A palette. And we used it. I could go through a palette of paint in 2 weeks at my school. We use the paint. But I have it, and it's kind of going bad, and so what's going on is this paint is a tiny bit on the old side. So therefore it's kind of dried in its container because this container is 2/3 used. I'm going to blend with some yellow. It's as needed. It's almost like we're making a dough, and if you need to add flour to your dough, you add flour, you know, just as you go. So anyways, that's what's going on. So if your paint is old and it's tacky, or if it's cheap paint, which, I mean, this stuff is not the top end stuff, but it's still pretty good. I mean, it works. It does what it needs to do. Also, too, if you don't like thick paint and you buy cheap paint, that's actually better because you want it watered down already. That way you don't have to buy all kinds of different gessos to mix it in. You know what? No. I want to keep the arc going. I like my little arc. I'm going to let it happen. So right now, I'm considering this part of the painting has been finished. Everything else we're working on. So I'm happy with this. Now we're going to work with all this to blend it down. So we don't want green. You know, we could change this up a little bit and put some stars because the sun, in my opinion, is going down. Of course, we do have a lot of yellow. The more yellow we add into the background, what that's going to do is represent that it's sunrise. If we add like purples and stuff, it's more of a sunset. Which you get both, right? Honestly, you get both. But the way we think and how we see the world as people, that's kind of what we see. So, let's go with some more red. Oops. Ah! Oh no! I wiped off. It wasn't completely dry. And because my paint was not completely dry and I had a drip of water, this happened. So make sure that you dry your brushes good before you go over the canvas so that doesn't happen to you. Which is okay. We can totally work with that. I think that might be a little happy accident. We could turn that into like if it was a rock. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in with some red. And I'm going to work here and I'm going to blend. Going up to that green. If some little areas of your blend are redder than others, that's totally cool. Let it happen because what that'll do is that'll look like clouds. It doesn't now, and it won't. But at the very end, when we start framing and doing everything, they're going to totally look like clouds. Looks like I might be getting a purple cut happening. Some of that blue is kind of wet. Now, do I leave the purple and let the purple happen, or do I not? I think I'm going to go ahead and allow the purple to kind of appear because that'll give more atmosphere. Oh, I went into the blue. Which maybe my brain is going everywhere. I wanted to go into the blue. Now, when you work back and forth with the colors, what's going to happen is that they blend easier, better, faster. Which, yeah, is the point. But when you're working with a larger surface, I don't know, I kind of wanted some dry brushing technique in there. There's going to be a tree here, but I'm going to go ahead and prep the side a little bit anyways, just a little bit to have between, what's going to happen is between our branches, we want to see some sky. I find that when you do tree branches, if you give space between the branches, it's more real. The next time you have the opportunity and you're out and about and you can be in the woods, check out the trees, stare at them. Again, it happened. It's okay, now it looks more uniform where I'm going to need it, so it'll be fine. So I take photos, like if I'm in the car and somebody's driving and I see, ooh, wow, beautiful mountain, I take a picture of it. So that way, because you know you're in the car, right? It's not like you can sit and gawk when you're driving down the freeway. But like I see all the pretty trees and I'm like, ooh, so I take a picture for later. And sometimes if I'm on like a really long drive, like my guy has a motorcycle and we go out every so often and there's some really beautiful canyons and places we've been to. And I just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. and I'm like looking at things and checking it out. And okay, so that's what the tree looks like. And it sounds stupid, I know. I'm 36 years old and I've seen a tree. But I'm still being like a child of wonder, of like, ooh, okay, yeah, I got it. Just check it out. Check out the world as it happens and take a second look at things that you might not have noticed. And I've noticed by doing that, my paintings have gotten so much better. Like they really have, since I started having that mindset of look, like stare at the clouds, look at them. I'm going to do a little bit here. Yes, there's going to be a tree, but just in case for the limbs, I'm going to kind of want to work it down a little bit so I can still have the backdrop be pretty cool. It's beautiful red happening right there. I'm really excited. I'm really loving this painting. I'm really happy with it. Yep, it's coming. Okay, so take a moment and I'm gonna go ahead and dry my canvas. I do like to use my hairdryer quite often. We're gonna start with the second layer with the trees that are gonna be behind the waterfall. And in order to do that, I would really love my canvas to be as dry as I possibly can get it. So I recommend you do that as well. Was drawing, I feel like there's too much green, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to work over here with some blue until I get a desired shade of blue and a blend, and I'm starting to have purple happening, which I'm totally into. So I'm going to do one more layer, get that a little bit more bluer. There we go, that's more the shade that I would like it. What we're doing, this technique is called blending. We're fading the colors from one to another. If your blending is not going so well, I suggest doing studies where all you do on a canvas is just blend. Like, don't actually paint anything, just work with paint to paint the blend. So you're not like gonna have an object on your painting or anything, you just work it going from one color to the next. I actually did that when I was at the university. I had a teacher who made us do that. She just gave us a whole bunch of studies and things that we had to accomplish, and we did them. And let me tell you what, I feel like I learned a whole lot, and I totally gained in skill and just practicing and playing with the medium. That's really, in the end of the day, what made me the best painter, is playing with the paint and playing with the medium. So like, yes, I do want a finished, beautiful piece at the end, but at the same time, I've got to work it. You got to get there before you can get there. You got to put in the time and the energy. And then you get to a point where you're, wow. And even so, all these years later, I am still feeling like I am growing as an artist. I'm still working it. I'm still doing my thing, putting in the effort, and I still feel that I keep getting better in my journey. So don't feel discouraged. It's very easy. There have been many times where I felt discouraged, and then I just, let it go. Let it go. Yeah, I'm thinking this is a good sky now to be a candidate for stars. Stars are good. Let's see if we can make a tiny bit more purple there. A little bit more purple. Since I had laid on a really good base of that blue, now that I come back over and add red with that, it's still mixing because the blue paint is still wet. I'm having so much fun. Thank you for joining me today. This is totally cool, and I'm glad that you're here hanging out with me. There have been so many times where I've painted by myself and I hated it. And it was miserable because I was all by myself. I like being with people. I'm having fun. Are you having fun? It's coming. It's coming slowly but surely, okay? That's one of the things that I've noticed from many of my students. Well, just it's human nature. We just want it done now. And that's why painting is a good relaxation. Just do it. And, if you're OCD, this is good therapy to help you to calm down your monkey mind and let it be what it is. Let it just happen. It is what it is. All my dramas for the day. I have nobody right now that is depending on me. Nobody that needs any of my attention. I can just sit here, hang out, and have a good time with my acrylic paint. I don't have to have any dramas right now. And I really like that. Do you feel the same way? Just hang out and have a good time with your paints. Also, when you're painting, don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just let your painting be what your painting is. Everybody is awesome at painting. As long as you're happy, you're in the moment, and this is what you're doing, it's great. Trust me. I mean, my daughter, she's little. She's 14 right now. And there are some paintings that she made when she was 2 and 3 that were pretty good. I mean, I've got quite a few. I have a little photo album where I saved all her little her little papers. I actually have a box in my attic where it's just all her little art projects, but I saved the good ones. The ones that I knew that she actually put effort and was trying. I saved all those. So, yeah. And then to see where she's come as an artist today. I mean, I am a teacher, so she's been to quite a few of my classes, and, when you're in your own art studio and you're your boss, you can bring your kid to school. I'm going in with some yellow, softening up some of those lines. I got that little spot going. I'm going to have to cover that with a tree. But yeah, so like, sometimes it's good. If you're not happy with your blend right now, just keep working it, keep practicing and playing with it, because that way, in a year from now, when you've taken a lot of classes and you've gone off on your own and you do things, you can look back at it and you can say, oh, look at where I came from. I still do that. I mean, there was a painting I painted last week of this lady. I really didn't like it. I had to paint, it was a commissioned piece, and I had to paint it like several times because like I have green. It's my reputation, right? So like if somebody's paying me for a painting, I'm not going to give them just the first thing I do. I really put effort and energy into my commissioned paintings. And I only give them and show them the best one because, you know, and then I just burn the other ones. I have a little campfire thing, fire pit in my yard, and they're really restorative. Oh my goodness, burning a painting, let me tell you what, if you're having a bad day, that's how you have a good day. I like it. It's coming. I think it's good. I'm going to go ahead and take what I have now and I'm going to completely dry it. And I think from here we'll go ahead and start the background trees. They're going to be super fun. Alrighty then, that's looking really lovely. I'm going to go ahead and take my small bright filbert and I'm going to go with a little bit of yellow on my brush and I'm just going to make a hint of a sun. A hint. Just a hint. And I got to turn my painting so I can see. Hint of the sun. Yep, that's a hint. That works. Maybe there's a little green spot. I hate that. Okay. Let's see. So now, are you ready for the backdrop? Don't worry. Don't stress out. Okay. Calm your monkey mind. This is going to be easy. Okay. Let me do all the stressing for you. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put some green. This is the same paint as the other paint. It was just that paint is the same brand. It's just more economical than this one. Like these are little guys. They sell the other ones on pallets for way cheaper. And it's the exact same paint. Same brand. Same stuff. Okay. So I've got some green. The problem is we don't want our green to be super greeny. We want it to be like really light. So let's see, I'm going to take my little tiny brush. And remember how I said about putting the white in the middle of the palette so that way we can mix. And I have all my colors around here and then I'm going to have mixy white colors in the middle. So, to take a little bit of green and a lot of white. The more green, oops, my brush was wet on the side. Don't do that. because then you'll end up with spots and it'll be boring. Okay, so anyways, the more white that you add to a pigment, the darker that pigment's going to be. So, excuse me, I'm sorry, dyslexia. The more white you add, the lighter the color is going to be. So this is turning like a turquoisey color. Now, if I were to add more green and less white, it'll be a really dark greeny color. But it won't be as dark as that because it'll be diluted a little bit, but it'll be enough. I'm just loving that turquoise. Beautiful. Now, if you already have turquoise, use that stuff. Use what you got. Okay. So, we can either do this with a tiny brush, or we can use our handy dandy fan brush. I'm going to use my handy dandy fan brush. Why? Because I like it. Oops. There we go. I had a little water there. Okay. I'm going to go in here. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm just going to randomly make it up. Yes, you heard me right. Make it up. Let it happen. It's going to be a tree's going to be here. Going to turn it the other, yep. Going to be a tree here. Going to be a tree here. One here. Little trees, little doodads. Now I have my fan to the side. I'm not doing this, I'm doing this. And even though I know that I'm going to have pine trees here, just because I'm going to go ahead and just add a couple, makes me feel better. In case I change my mind later, you know. I'm kind of just honestly making this up as I go along. Trying not to put a whole lot of thought into it, just letting it happen. I've noticed that when I just let my paintings happen and they are what they are, they come out totally cool. When I'm over here fussing and I can't do this, it's horrible, it's hideous. When that happens, that's when they actually become really bad and I end up burning them. Let me tell you what, burning a painting in a campfire is totally therapeutic. It totally is. You know, if it's something that, because I don't know if you noticed, but I've been putting a lot of my energies into this painting in the sense of my stresses for the day. So if it comes out hideous and it's really, really super bad, then I just burn it. I burn all my stress away. Now it's get fumey, okay? So let me tell I don't have little kids running around or anything. You know, I don't burn things that are smelly and icky when there's little children running around. I'm a grown adult. The people that hang around me are grown adults. Oftentimes, my 14-year-old doesn't want to hang out with me because I'm mommy. And mommy comes with a lot of rules with how we behave around campfires and a lot of fire safety and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not fun. So she doesn't want to hang out. And she's a teenager. She's off doing her own thing. She's got her own world going on. So she's usually not around. So, and it's not really that stinky. Honestly, this brand of paint and this canvas, I did not gesso or prime my canvas because why? These already come primed. I mean, it's not like we had the problems of 100 years ago. People have already done this stuff for us. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to start a little bit of the waterfall. A little bit. So I'm going to go in here with my turquoise and I'm going to say, where do I want my waterfall to be? I want it to be like meow-ish. Meow. Flat and go down. Flat and go down. I need to make a little bit more of that turquoise. Then go in here with the green, add some green, pull in some of my white, and see that space? And I tried to leave my white as clean as I could be. So if I needed to pull white to red and make a pink, or a yellow to white and make a light pink yellow, I could. So be careful that you're not using up all your palette. So that way you don't have like 5 plates going on, which I have students that do that, and it's fine, whatever. I mean, these things only cost 8 cents. But at the same time, it's like, you only got so much table space, and then there's like other people painting, and it's a whole thing, and then you're like trying to find your paint, and it's really annoying. It's mostly that it's annoying is what it is. How about we do a wide one? Yippers! I like it. It's coming. I think I'm going to make this a little bit more bushier. A lot more bushier. I just want a lot of color, a lot of plants going on in the background. Now, I know that this is not the shade of trees. I get it. The reason why I'm using it is because our eyes can deceive us, and when things are really far away, they appear to be lighter. So that's pretty much the whole reason. Gonna do the same thing on this side. Leaving some yellow is okay. Really want it to look really bushy up there, like there's a lot going on. I'm liking it. Take one last little look, and if there's a tree that could maybe use a little bit of attention, that just, go ahead and fix it. Try not to overdo it. Just, you know, I like it, it's working. This guy don't look like a tree. I'm gonna fix him. Okay. Yeah. Remember to keep them pointy. Yeah, it's working. I like that. That looks good. Yippers. Okay. Gonna go ahead, put that in my water, wipe it off a little bit. Okay. So now, preferably, we want this to completely dry before we go and add everything else. So I recommend that you take this time to go ahead and completely dry it. The more you dry it, the cooler this effect is gonna look, and the easier it's gonna be to achieve. Okay, now that we have that, we are going to go back and work on the trees a tiny bit more. Because we have it dried, it's going to be easier now to apply the second coat. But here's the gimmick. I'm going to take this color and I'm going to add some more green. Not a lot, just enough. And I'm making it a darker turquoise. Now, I'm going to be extremely sporadic, meaning I'm not going to try to touch up every little thing. I'm just going to try to doot, maybe turn my brush a little bit. I still want to see that undercoat, but what I'm doing is I'm adding an extra layer of, ooh, that's cool. So add your, ooh, that's cool. Take a moment and don't overthink it. Let it be what it is. Let these little trees do what they want to do. Let them have their own little unique life. Now by layering and doing this, it's just going to be more visually appealing and cooler to look at. We want to have very many different little angles here. So it's almost like these are smaller trees that are a little bit closer to us. But they're still so far off in the distance that we don't see any detail at all. So they're smaller trees. They're the little baby trees. Which I have actually noticed in the woods that fresh new growth oftentimes tends to be a little bit greener and fresher, more natural, more youthful. Okay, that's good. I do want to keep some yellow. You don't have to keep yellow if you don't want to, but I'm going to keep yellow for mine. Now I'm going to completely all the way dry. Okay, that's looking really good. So go ahead and get your fan brush, clean it off, like super all the way, no more color on there. Wipe it. Now if it separates, you want it to separate. Trust me, let me tell you, you want it to be a little bit messy and not like the pretty brush. So go ahead and, make them separated. Yeah, it'll make the waterfall way much cooler if they're separated. So I'm gonna go ahead, and this is gonna be a one and done kind of situation, so don't overthink it. If you overthink it, what you're gonna need to do is recover the bottom again. So I'm going to put a little bit of paint, not a whole lot, just on the very tip. Kind of wipe some out, make sure it's good and loaded. Okay, now I'm going to start in the middle. Make sure you make the noise. It won't work unless you make the noise. You got to make the noise. Make sure you load your breaths each time, and you want them to not be stuck together. Okay, no sticking together. This is sticking together. How am I going to solve that? I'm going to wash my brush, wipe off the paint, and then I'm going to re-flick them again with my fingers. I'm going to separate them with my fingers. That's how we get them all flicky. It's a good idea to keep some of your brushes that are all messed up and destroyed because they can do really awesome effects. So if you think it's a dead old brush, there are things you can do with them, which I'm sure on my beach painting that you saw how I did that one. That one was with a mess. It was all the way messed up. That's how I was able to get the surf so fluffy. Okay. Whee! And those lines, that's what we want. We want lines in there. Woohoo! Good. I think I might go over this one just a little bit. Actually, you know what? No. Sometimes less is more. Less is more. But what I am going to do is I'm going to come up here and try to do like a little bit. We just want to cover up that little greens right there. There. And what this is going to do is give the illusion that there are stones and rocks up there. And it's being disturbed because there are stones. There's stuff in the way. Okay. I'll wash my brush, let it be. Now, you can do this with a brush if you want to. I would suggest a small round. However, I am going to be super, super cool, and I'm going to use a sponge. Now, this is a sponge that I acquired at the dollar store. Don't spend a lot on your sponges. Just don't do it. They're too expensive. I cut it into a little piece. I'm going to turn it so it's round. I think I cut this piece maybe a little too small. See how it's rounded? You don't want edges. If you have edges in your sponge, what's going to happen is you're going to get lines. Before I did that, I should have put more paint onto my palette. Make sure I'm still, yep, I'm still on camera. Sometimes I get kind of carried away and want to make sure it's all in the view of the lens so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So, now what we're going to do, we have our little tiny sponge. We're going to make sure we have no edges. I'm going to go in my white. And I'm going to kind of tap, tap, tappy. Just a little bit. Get it in there. I don't want a lot. Just, you know, a little bit. Good healthy amount, but not too much. Which is kind of a little bit much. A little bit much. Take it out. Okay, there. I like that. That's a good look. So now, at the base of my waterfall, I'm going to make doots, 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 doots. Doot, 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 doot. Doot, doot, doos. Lots of doot, doos. Notice how I'm just kind of almost dry brushing with a sponge. Doot, doot, doot. Little sea foam. Little bit. That's okay for the middle part to go over a couple of times to kind of get a line going on. But yeah, I'm liking that. That works. That's good for me. I love it. Yep. Okay. Now, here's another thing that I like to do. Remember, okay, let's see. What brush do we want to use? So many choices. I'm going to use my little tiny round. Let's see. If your water is this color, that's okay because that's what color mine is. I don't really think we need to wash it yet, but if you get any darker than this, I would recommend dumping this out, running a lot of water down the sink because acrylic paint is really bad for drains, especially over the long run. So run some water down there, new fresh water. But if you're at this color, you're fine. If you're darker than this color, go get some fresh water, especially when we work with the color white. I am going to take some water from here, and then I'm going to add it into my paint and dilute my paint a lot. Dilute, dilute, dilute. It was a little green, but I added enough paint, it's fine. So now what we're going to do, we're going to get really close, and we're going to add some spray. Now the more that you do it, the smaller the little sprays are going to be. And that's kind of what I want. I don't want a whole lot of spray. Just a little bit. I want it barely, hardly, just enough to, you can see me, but that's it. A little bit into the water. Tiny bit. Little dots. Because this is supposed to be like really far away. When we're done with this painting, we want this waterfall to be really far away. Okay. So oh, you know what? I also promised stars, didn't I? So I'm going to go ahead, flip. You know what? No. I was going to flip it, but now on second thought, I'm going to decide not to. The reason why is I don't want stars this way. I want stars to be here, not down here. So by having it this way and flicking in that motion, it's going to help control where the stars are going to be. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add a little bit of water, dilute the paint, Make sure that I kind of mix away some of that green I have in there. Yep, see, mixy mix. That's good. And then I am going to take my finger like this and flick, flick. Now these stars I want to be bigger. So because of that, I'm not going to go many, many times. I'm going to put more paint onto my brush so they're bigger. There, I got some little ones. It's okay to have a couple little. If a couple of your stars get into the red, that can be okay. Just a little bit, not too much. Unless you know, I like stars. I'm totally into the like space and stuff. We just recently had that comet pass by. I was all about it. I seen it. It totally was out there. I saw it. Did you see it? It was a fun time. Okay, so now we got some stars. I like it. I like what happened. So I always am a firm believer that right after you have your little flickings, make sure you dry all the way so you don't whoops and accidentally wipe it all away. Lovely. I feel like it's dry. So let's go ahead with the next layer. So there are going to be 3 pine trees here, and there's going to be 1 giant one here. So since this one is a big one, I'm going to start with that one first. It's usually easy. The bigger the trees are, usually the easier it is to paint them. So we're going to go ahead and work with this one, and then we'll work our way over here. So I have my little fan brush. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the dark color first. I'm going to go in here with my dark green. And I still want it to be very separated. I'm going to go and make an idea of where do I want my tree. So my idea of the center of my tree is going to be Mia. Now all this is a guideline. I'm going to make myself a line to figure out where I need this thing to be. Now, if I left this tree be on the same line as these, it's not going to really give that look of the foreground that I'm really going for. So I'm going to make it a little bit higher, and it's going to give it more of a visually appealing look. The more I get into the purple and the blue, it's going to kind of fade away. There we go. I think I like that height. I think that's a really good height. So I'm going to let it be at that for now. If I want to change it later, I totally can. Now, everybody teaches these a little bit different, and I have studied and practiced all the different ways to do these trees, and here's what I found that works the best for me. Instead of going down here and tapping to go down, Bob Ross is awesome at doing that. I find that it's very rectangular for me. So I like to alternate between using different brushes to help me to achieve a very pointy look and at the same time have a very specific branch look. So I'm going to start like Mia halfway, and I'm going to make a branch. I'm going to make another branch. Now these branches, by the time they're all the way down here, they're supposed to be huge. Okay, so notice what I did. I'm going to work this one off the canvas, and I'm going to make that a triangle. So it's going to be Mia, Mia, Mia. Do you see how it's starting to become pointy? There. And then I just kind of work. So I'm going to try to be very deliberate as to where I tap in branches. I want to have a specific look. Okay. Okay, so now that I have a basic outline as to where these are going, I'm going to start making them a little bit bushier. The bottom, totally bushy. Total bushiness on the bottom. And be patient with yourself. Take your time. Don't stress out. If you find that you're stressing, go ahead and walk away from your painting for a little bit and then revisit it. But remember my little rule, if you're going to start a painting, make sure you finish it. That way it's not sitting in your art studio for a million years waiting to be finished. Try to complete the project today if you can, because then you'll feel better about it, you know. But if you need to walk away and you're getting frustrated, go do that, because you don't want to paint when you're frustrated. If you paint when you're frustrated, what's going to happen is your painting's going to be horrible, and it's not going to be good, and you're going to be totally embarrassed and unhappy with it. And I don't want that to happen to you. Now the goal is that we are going to cover up all of this, right? We're going to cover up everything. So I do want to have my base coat be everywhere. And especially in the middle, you can totally bunch it up. These little trees get really bunchy in the middle. Now, because I have all white and I didn't prep under the canvas, I am going to leave room up here between my branches. But what's going to happen in over here where there's white stuff, I'm just going to go ahead and cover up all the white stuff. But I'm going to keep true to my angle. And some of these, when it comes out to the blue, I will leave spaces. So that way you can see in between the branches. So I'm going to go ahead and add more paint. Now, have you noticed that I only add paint a little bit at a time as I need it? That is totally on purpose and for a reason. It's because acrylic paints only stay wet and gooey for so long and they dry, and then they become tacky. And I'm not a big fan of tacky. Earlier I had a little bit of tacky going on with the paint, but yeah, make sure that you have individual branches going on. Doesn't the brush sound very soothing? I'm going to be quiet for a little bit so that way we can just hear the brush. I want you to relax and to let go of all your stress and just listen to the brush. Now, as we journey up higher, make sure that you pay attention and think about where are these branches. I made it too wide. It's supposed to taper. Oh well, it's okay. It's fine. We'll figure it out. It'll happen. Notice how I'm rocking my brush back and forth as I made those branches. I'm still going to work on this, trust me. I'm just going to change brushes. Which, you know, I guess we're like right there right now that we can start doing that. Yeah, I think I'm about ready for that. Okay, so I'm going to put that into the water. I'm going to go with my tiny little brush. Make sure you clean all the paint off it. Wipe off the water. I'm going to go here. And I am going to, I feel like there's too much water. Make sure you get all the water out of your bristles. Okay. So I'm going to go here and do the exact same thing that I'm doing, but just with a different brush. So I'm going to try, oops, make sure you get all the paint off of the ferrule. So, okay. So make sure I'm working the edges. Sometimes a zigzaggy pattern might help at the beginning. Try to get a look. We want to have lots of space between the branches so that way birds can have a place to sit down and to rest. Give them birdies some resting spots. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill some of that in, especially down the middle, in the middle areas. The middle tends to have more branches because we have some of the branches are facing us. This is a really fun painting. I feel like all my stresses of the day are gone. Yep, total therapy. I feel like I was sitting in a jacuzzi for a little bit. I feel so good right now. I hope you feel the same way. Out of all the therapies I've ever had, I feel like painting for emotional therapy has been the best. It has worked the most for me. You know, I'm not sure if you know this, but Frida Kahlo, she used painting as therapy. She had quite a lot of dramas happen to her in her day, and especially in the time that she lived in, women were second-class citizens, and she envisioned that in her paintings. Frida Kahlo, she put that in there. She had a lot to say with her paintings. Now, some of her paintings seem really odd and weird. They really do. But they're a meaning. Everything she painted, she was saying something. Like, for example, she had an instance where she had a miscarriage. She got into a little car wreck. Well, it was a pretty big one, but back then they didn't wear seatbelts, and she got thrown, and she was pregnant at the time when it happened. And so she ended up losing the baby because it was a pretty traumatic experience. And that was pretty sad. Well, she painted the baby. It came out, and I mean, I don't remember how many months she was. I think she was like 6 or 7. So it was pretty well developed where you could see that it was a baby. And that painting is very whoa to look at. It's a pretty intense painting. But that's how she processed her emotions and the things that she went through, and it's how it helped her to have peace, to come to terms with she lost her baby. And yeah. It would be like a poet making a poem. There have been times where I've written some poems and I have interpreted them into paintings, which we could totally do that with this one. We could totally write a poem about it. We'd have a little backstory about what we were doing that day and why we were in the woods, or like I feel like I'm in the woods or something. Totally so many ways you can go about doing this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I like the basic idea of my tree. It's cute. I like it. It works. I'm going to go ahead and dry it so that way when I add my next layer of colors, they won't blend in as easily. should be about good. So let's go ahead and I am going to add a bright green. The reason why I don't want to add white to this green is I already kind of did it here. And I want to have something that looks a little bit different. And as I was drawing this, I was watching and I was looking at what I was doing. And I feel as though I didn't come over far enough. So before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and remedy that really quick. So that way when I add layers, they'll be on top of that color. So wash my brush out, a little bit of green, bring over some whites, mix, mix, mix. I'm just going to go with that lighter color. There we go. Okay, that's much nicer. So I want it really to appear like this tree is overlapping, that we can't see what's over there, but maybe there's like a little beachy area over there. We can't see it because this tree's in the way, but it's giving us a hint of the secret because there's this here. So I'm knowing, maybe I could go behind there. Maybe there's a nice little cottage or something going on. So I'm going to go ahead with this. I'm going to make sure I get these little, yep. I'm going to go ahead and add some highlights. Now, this is where we, remember how I said start thinking about branches? This is where we're going to really start making branches. So at the tops of where I think, the top and the middle section of where I would like my branch to be. When it comes to the white, I'm going to take the liberty to go ahead and try to put these on the white to cover up all that white because I don't want to see any. Notice how I'm making an individual branch. That's what the secret is to make your tree look extra cool and extra full. Nope, nope. I'll hurry up and wipe it. And because the painting is dry underneath, it wipes up really nice. This is how you erase when you're painting using a hairdryer. Oh, there's some here too. Get that? Yep, that's good. All right, we can start over again. I'm still trying to keep those branches in mind, but still trying to cover up some of the white. I like that. It's coming along nicely. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, but on this side, and I'm going to keep these branches kind of following the same path over. But remember, each branch also wants to be its own unique little individual. Now right here, I'm only just adding highlights. I'm not going to try to cover up that yellow. If some of the yellow covers up, okay, it happens. But I'm still going to try to keep some of it. I want this tree to be very see-through-ish. This is going to make my tree look a little bit more bushy by adding on these layers. Now try not to wipe with your brush, just try to dab. The more you can dab, the better. Now this is where it's really important with those branches. See what I mean? It's really hard to do with a fan brush. You gotta really go on the end there. That works. And then you can have a little bit going down the middle. By having a little bit of chaos in the middle of your tree is going to start to look more 3D. I'm liking it. It's coming, not quite there yet, but a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush, and then I'm going to dry this quickly for the next layer. It's not all the way dry, but it's pretty good to what I need it. So I'm going to go ahead, wash my brush, get it all dry. I prefer, even though I'm still sticking with the hues of green, I like to wash my brush every so often so it doesn't get cakey. I like to have all the little bristles separated, so that way there's a lot of different little, just little notes of different lines everywhere. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this green and make a little bit lighter green. I have some yellow, so I'm going to take this yellow. I'm going to bring it over here for mixing. I'm going to add a little bit of green to my yellow. I'm going to work it in, work it in. I'm not liking it. I feel like that shade is too close to my original shade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a little, I could add some white, but I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to give it some yellowy tint. I'm going to go ahead and mix that in until I get a hue that is lighter than what I already have with the green. So if you notice, what we've used is 3 different shades of green. By doing that, it's going to make this appear more 3D. and have way more dimension and a lot more personality. So it's almost like we're blending, but we're only blending with the idea that we're putting paint next to each other. We're not blending like in the sky, how we were back and forth and we ended up having some purple happen. We got a little bit of orange going on. We were blending just by only adding paint, which is kind of a very dotty way of doing things. Thinking about where I want to have my branches. Now I'm going to go back and bushy it up, but right now I'm just doing the main idea of branches, trying to cover up some of that white, which this paint is doing a horrible job because this shade is doing a horrible job covering up that white. Making sure that you get those edges nice and pretty. Now I want to think about putting this color on top of the other color that I made that was the light green. Make sure that I still have the integrity of each of the branches. Okay, now that I have some of that integrity, I'm going to go ahead and all over in the middle just a little bit because I have the main idea of the branches. But I kind of want to make it full and make it look like these branches are coming out towards us. So it's like, okay, like layers and layers. I'm going to be paying a lot of attention here to make sure that I'm keeping the idea of those single branches together. I do want some yellow to shine through, not a lot, but enough. This is going to really help our branches stand out. The middles of these can be a little bunchy too. It's okay, not too much. I'm doing a little zigzag pattern down the tree. Further up you go, the more you really gotta watch it with what you're doing. Less is more. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, I hate that. See, this is why we should have changed the other brush. Nope, wipe that off. Okay, I like that. Now I still have a lot of white in here, so I'm going to go back and forth till I finally get something really nice. So I'm going to take 3 seconds and go ahead and dry. is I'm going to add some more paint to try to cover up these white areas. So I'm going to wash off my brush, wipe all the water off of it, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to make sure that I have my brush all kind of ugly a little bit with all the little points. I'm going to go back and try to really cover up all of these white areas. Especially in the middle. You go a little bit up here just cause to give it a little bit of a full type of a look in the middle of the tree. It's too much right there, kind of break that up a little bit. Break up some of the branches. I'm liking it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. So I think that's about it for this little guy. I'm gonna revisit it in a little bit. For right now, I'm gonna let it be. Oh, you know what I didn't do? The side. Make sure that I wipe on my brush and I do the side so I have a cohesive little bit here. I'm going to go into that little bit of light green, try to stay true to those branches, but still trying to cover up some of that white. This will give it a good wraparound feeling when it's hung on the wall. That works. Now I have a little boo-boo that I didn't address earlier that I didn't come far enough with the yellow. So I'm just going to go ahead and touch that little bit up right there and make sure, yeah, just for the continuity. Otherwise it's going to be around a white spot that's just going to look a little odd and off place. Just taking that sky down a little bit. That works. That's good. And then go back in with my little brush and I'm going to go in with that really light green that I made and do some highlights, trying to take into account those white spots, covering up as much as I can with those white spots, but still trying to think about where the branches would go. Okay, I'm going to go back and forth and wash my brush and go back into the darker color and go ahead and, oops, there's too much of a glob of paint right there. And there we go. Make sure I cover up all those white little spots and break up some of it. There we go. That works. Don't fuss with it too much, just a little bit. Because sometimes you can drive yourself crazy if you're always messing and you just don't relax, then it's not fun anymore. So you got a letter B. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna make sure that I'm still in the view of the camera so you can still see. Yep, everything is still good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with the trees on this side. I am going to choose to make a big one, a medium, and then a small one. And I feel like the big one is going to be closer to me. Well, the medium one. I feel like the medium one's going to be in the one in the background, and then the two of them are going to be above that. So because of that, I'm going to want to work with the medium size first, so that way when I do my branches, they're going to overlap. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing what we did here, except for the trees are not going to be as large, so it's going to go way faster. Let's see, let's take a moment and see where I want this to be. We're going to say here. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly block them out a little bit just to have a basic rough idea as to where I want these things to be, so I can know where I'm going here. There. I wonder if I like that. I think that's good. Yeah, it's working. We could probably go down a little bit lower. We can always overlap. You can always let the paint dry and then paint over it. So we'll just, to be safe, go a little bit lower. Okay, so I'm going to start with the middle one because that one's going to be the one in the background. So I'm going to go like meow. Going to happen is this areas down here are just going to be all bush. Tons of bushiness. Okay, so now on these ones, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my bright filbert, which is my little tiny brush with the little tiny bristles that don't come to a point and aren't square either. That's why it's called a bright, and it's a filbert because it's tiny bristles. Ooh. Take your time. Remember to breathe. Don't stress out too much. Just let it happen. Let it be what it is. The more you paint trees, the better you're going to get at it. And you won't get better unless you practice, unless you try, and unless you... Oh, no. It was dry, and look what happened. Don't like that. But anyways, what was I saying? If you don't practice, you're not going to ever get better. So let it happen. Let it be what it is. Let the tree happen as it happens. I go back in with my fan brush and work on. There, I got the middle going. Get the middle nice and bushy. I think that's good. It's working. Yep. I like it. I am going to now do the next layer, but I'm going to do something special. Since my trees are going to overlap this tree, I'm only going to worry about putting color in the area in which we're going to see it. So I'm going to go in with my green, my middle green, and I'm just going to make a few little highlights. And I'm trying to remember to keep the integrity of some of that, the yellow behind the tree. We need places for our little birdies to perch. You got a little bit in the middle and you break it up a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to dry that for a quick second. I'm going to go ahead and go with a lighter color green. Looks like I need to make some more. Kind of running out there a little bit. Little highlights. That works. I like it. Okay, I'm really happy with this tree. Give it a dry. Okay, here we go. We're going to go with some darker green and we're going to work on the other trees. Now we are going to put a little bit more effort into this guy because this one is right in front. Okay, it's going to, I'm going to need to switch brushes, but go out here into the waterfall just a little bit so we can see those branches so that they're overlapping the waterfall. I'm going to let that be. I'm going to work on this one so that way I do the 2 points with the other brush. I'm going to need to add a little bit more green onto my palette. Now I'm really liking the bushiness over here and I'm feeling like this tree is not as bushy, which is kind of okay because this tree on the left is closer to us, so we see more details. I'm going to go ahead and cover up all this white area. There we go. It's okay, that's a little bushy. And I don't want my branches on this one to match up with the branches on the next one. I want there to be some sort of individuality here. And you're just going to have to work with it and work with it till you finally find that happy, balancing medium. Okay, I'm going to have to change brushes here. Back to my Filbert Bright. I'm going to do a zigzaggy pattern on this guy. That way each of my trees has like a different personality. They all need to be their own individuals. And remember, give places for your birdies to perch. You're doing a good job sticking in this long. This is a long time to paint. If you're feeling a little exhausted right now, that's totally normal. I myself am feeling a little fatigued and tired, like I've been using my brain a whole bunch, and I'm just feeling a little like, kind of like that feeling you get when you've been working on the computer for many hours because you've been concentrating. You just need to take a moment. I'm starting to feel like that. So if you're feeling like that, you're doing great. That means you're putting in a lot of effort. I'm just kind of filling in the middle here to make it bushy. A lot of bushiness. Yep, that's working. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and dry what I have. Drying the canvas, I was staring at it, and I feel like the waterfall is just kind of free floating, and it is just there. So I'm going to go ahead and we can either add a little bit of brown, or we can stick with the colors we got and just add more and fill it in. I am going to just stick with the colors we got and fill it in. So I'm going to take some of that green, I'm going to pull over some of the white and mix it to get that light color, but I think I'm going to start wanting it a little bit darker than our original light green. I'm going to go ahead and fill in some of these spaces so that way it feels like there's ivy that has been growing on the side of our waterfall. I want to hide all of the yellow. There we go. There, like there's a ridge over there. It slowly fades. kind of gonna try to see if I can hide some of that yellow. Okay, then I'm gonna go back in with a darker color and just kind of vine it up. Now what this is gonna do is kind of anchor our waterfall. Bring some of that color to go straight up. Give some definition. Just a little bit. A little bit of definition, not much, just a little, just a hint of definition. I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. But I think on this side, I'm going to leave them to be a little bit more lighter. So that way I can see definition between the back and the tree that I'm about to paint right here. I'm going to make sure that I cover up all that yellow. And make sure that this hill kind of goes over here, like it's coming down a ways. Don't worry, we're gonna fix this and cover it all up. We just want to have a base so that when we see between our branches, we can see that there's no yellow there. It's working. I like it. I'm gonna go back in with some green just to give a tiny bit of definition. Look like we've got some vines growing. Lots of different types of ivies. That should work. Bring some of that up a little. There. Make sure this guy's kind of got somewhere to live. I like it. Yeah. Let me go back in with a little bit more gray right there. A little bit lighter color. I'm gonna blend just a little bit. I like this. I'm liking it. See, this is what happens when you paint. You just start, you see, oh, that was good. I should do that again. I'm gonna blend, blend. Make it up as we go along. There we go. So that way it gives it a little definition compared to the trees that are up high. So what we could have done is add more spray, which I think we should, and then we'll fix the leaves. So other than that, I feel like this is working. This, we've got an anchor for, goes up here, is like a little rock up there. It's a little flat over here. Yeah, I feel like we have an anchor for a waterfall now. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash my brush. I'm gonna take a moment and dry it. Looking good. Now, before I go any further, I took a moment to stare at my painting while I was drying it. I'm just going to add some more little bits of fluff here, just cause, and then I'm going to refix this tree, but I really want to cover the canvas with paint all over the place. Yeah, we're going to cover that up. I like it. It works. Okay. So let that dry, and I'm going to work on these trees. Okay, so let's finish this little guy right here. I need my other filbert. Make sure when you wash them, you get all the water out. Now this guy is going to stay more just green because he's kind of blurry because he's far away. And I want him to stand out from what's behind him. There. Yeah, I'm going to leave him like that for right now. Now I did want to fix this guy up here. Make him a little more bushier. Not a whole lot, just a little. Just to say, I'm a tree. There we go. I'm really liking that. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to wash my brush. And we're going to do the second layers on these trees. And clean out all the dark green from my fan brush. Make my fan brush pretty. I'm going to go back into the medium green and just add lots of doot-doots. More doot-doots you add, the better it's going to be. But remember, keep your individual branches going on. Right here I can make up a branch, make up another branch, and make up a third. I'm going to add just a little highlights. Same with this guy. I really need to let these areas dry all the way before I add paint, because then they're just going to mix together and I'm not going to get that effect. So let's go ahead and I'm going to try to be very careful, and with the tip of my fan brush I'm going to go here. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, it's difficult. It's difficult to paint like that. Okay, it works. I like it. Did we do this side? I can't remember. I think I did. Yeah, okay, that works. I've noticed that there's too liney over here, so I'm going to need to go back with some dark and bushy it out. I noticed there's too many lines. I'm loving these trees way better over here. I'm going to go ahead and really quickly do the ends of over here because I didn't, just so I could wrap around this tree just a little bit. Give it a little doop-doop. Really, I should dry it, but I'm just going to do this really quick. Not that many people are going to be staring around the sides anyways. Just a little bit to cover up those white spots, and there you have it. That's good. That works. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dry the tree. I have one more coat of colors to put on. Wash my brush, get the excess water off, and then I'm going to take my light green and some of my yellow and just a little bit of green. See if I can lighten up that green just a little bit. And highlights, okay, highlights. That's not enough paint. I need more paint. Highlights. And very random. Add a couple to the side, not many. And do a couple at the tops here. There we go. I like it. We'll leave it at that. Yep. They look cute. I like them. Okay. So now over on this one, just for a quick second to do some touch-ups. We are almost done. We are more than halfway done with this painting. You've done a really good job sticking it out this long. I'm very proud of you. When you're done with your painting, can you please send me a picture? Because I'd really love to see it. Really love to see how cool your painting is. I am going to be very random. Really random. So I already have these core branches going on, which is great. But I need to have a 3D look. So this is going to help break it up a little bit to give me that 3D effect that I'm going for. Try to break up some of those lines. See how it's getting kind of bushier? I'm going gonna go with a little bit light. I had too much right there. There. That's good. I like it. I think that's really nice. I really love the tree. They're very good. This little family of trees seems a little more sparsy than this one, but that's okay. They all have to have their own little personalities. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, oh, you know what? Oh, I totally forgot. I forgot to, remember when we touched up that water over there? Wanted to put some definition back into here. Go back into there and go. Yeah, there we go. Yep, okay. Overlapping. The more you overlap, the more 3D it's gonna appear. Okay, so now we've done really good. So now what we need to do is we need to do the land and then the land. So I am still going to use my fan brush for this. You don't have to use a fan brush. You can use maybe a square brush if you'd like. But I'm really liking the fan brush. It's working for me. Okay, so now let's go ahead. I'm going to show you a really easy way to make grass. Now, just because for a moment I'm going to swoosh it so I get a basic outline of where I'm going. And I'm pulling up. So that's a basic idea outline of where I want my water to be. So I'm going to go ahead and swoosh, 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 swoosh. And that's it. All we're going to do is swoosh it by pushing it up. And we're going to go over it and over it many times until we cover up all of that blue. We don't want to see any blue. Which sometimes that just means you're going to have to use the hairdryer when you put on extra layers. To put more green on my palette. I want to quickly readjust here, make sure I'm still in the view of the camera. There we go. Okay, so see if you still see my palette. Okay, so here I am. I am going to make more grass. I'm going to give that a second to dry a little bit more. And I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing over here. And I'm going to block out where I'm going. Now I do want there to be brush strokes. That's a thing. I'm really looking for those brush strokes. Now I didn't continue my blue, which is okay. We can add some more. Or I mean, I do want it to be a river. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add more blue. But I'm already going to get a layer of my grass on. And the more brush strokes you have, the more your painting is going to look realistic. And the grass is going to just, wow. Make sure you cover up all the white. I like it. It's coming. I'm going to go ahead and do a second layer of grass over here. It's going to come up a little bit into the water, and that's great. This is beautiful. Now I'm going to take a quick moment and go ahead and paint my sides. I suggest when doing grass starting at the top and working down. I will be adding some more layers into my grass. So for my first bottom base layer, it really doesn't matter a whole lot, but it will matter in the next layers to overlap. Remember, the more you're overlapping in a painting, the more depth you're going to have, and the more depth you have, the more realistic it's going to look. Okay, that's good there. I need to overlap. I need to paint my side here. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get my little tiny round brush. I know I haven't used him much. He's got a little bit longer bristles than the filbert does. I'm going to go back into some blue, and since I didn't get any blue down here, before I go and really work on the grass, I'm going to try to get the water grate first. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the sides and then come up. I'm going to remember to keep my brush going horizontal the whole time. By having my brush going horizontal, what that's going to do is it's going to help me to, let's see, it's going to help me have like natural waves type occurring without me having to put a lot of effort into it. So I'm going to keep them going. Now they're going vertical the way I'm doing them, but I'm keeping the integrity of going horizontal on the painting. Trying to keep those waves, the brush strokes. I feel that paintings that have brush strokes oftentimes tend to sell very well. Everybody always likes to, ooh, you can see the artist. Okay, now what that did was produce a really sharp line there, which is really not a good thing. So I'm just gonna have to work on it, but that's okay. It's okay, we're just having a good time, hanging out. I've got plenty of time to paint this, no need to rush. Don't rush anything. Okay, kind of wipe off some of that paint and go over here and play with it a little bit. Try to soften up that line. There we go, that works. I remember earlier we had these guys. Since it dried the whole way, I'm gonna go ahead and cover it up. Now I want to be very careful that I don't go over these little splatter dots that I made earlier. I kind of want to keep them, still being cool and being what they are. It's a good idea every once in a while to step back and look at what you have and let your painting dry just a little bit. I really like my painting. I think it's coming along. It is taking a while to paint it, but so far I like what I see. I'm very happy with it. I hope you're very happy with yours as well. We'll go ahead and finish some of that blue over here. Make sure I cover up all the white little areas. It's okay if I go over the green just a little bit because I'm going to come back over and touch it up. So now I'm going to go ahead and work on the grass to make the grass even cooler and more awesome. Go ahead, clean off my fan brush. And I'm going to add a little bit of black onto my palette, just a little bit. I don't need a whole lot. I'm going to go ahead and mix my green and make sure that it's a little bit more green. So I'm going to bring a little bit of green over. I'm going to mix it in with that black and just kind of make it a little darker. I'm going to go ahead and add that to the bottom. Oops, flipping up. I forgot. Wasn't thinking. And doesn't that look nice? Little texture in the grass there. I'm mostly going to focus my attention towards the bottom. I want to be very sporadic with these brush strokes. I want them to really read as though they're individual little blades of grass. Trying to cover up some spots where I see some white, and I'm kind of trying to make like little mounds everywhere. Like where the lay of the land is and how would it kind of just move and be in that spot right there where it's at. And make sure I get some of the sides. Just kind of let the grass be what the grass wants to be. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, but I'm not going to add as much, just a little bit. I think I might have made my green just a little bit too dark. There we go. Black goes a long way, so when you add it to your paint, only add just a little bit. Just add what you need. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to make sure that I kind of pay attention to the surf here a little bit. Then I'm going to come up here just a little bit and try to see if I can cover up some of that blue. That's looking like really nice grass. I'm loving it. Really, really nice grass. Make sure that I get a couple on the side here. Oh, right there, there we go. Just a little bit. Come in here just a little bit and add a couple more because I had another shade that I kind of mixed there. Making sure of pretty happy little grass everywhere. Yep, I'm really liking it. go ahead and wash my brush. And I was thinking if we added some cute little flowers, wouldn't that be nice? Some little beautiful, awesome flowers. I'm gonna go ahead and before I do that, I'm gonna dry my grass just a little bit so it doesn't blend in with so that way that the flowers don't blend in with the grass. Now before I add the flowers, I was looking at my painting as I was drying it, and I was thinking it would be nice to have a few little highlights here in the grass. Wouldn't that be pretty? Just a couple little highlights. Okay, so, oops, my original green is drying. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here. I'm just gonna make some little spots in the grass. I'm gonna need to make more of this green. I'm gonna go ahead and just go with this green. I really like this bright one. And I do want to make sure that there's a lot of little things going on here with my brush, so I can get individual, and I'm gonna wash my brush. Got too much paint caked onto there. It's not good. I want to have different little areas on my brush where they're sticking out and little, yeah, right there. I like that. That's good. And get that into my paint, and I'm not going to smush it around a whole lot so I can keep them separated. I go ahead and add little blades of grass. A little highlight. I'm going to say there's a little mound of highlightness there. I'm going to come down here a little bit and add just a little bit of highlights. I'm going to go ahead on the other area and do the same, just a little bit here and there. Little blades of grass. Some kind of continuity of the way of the land. Now these places of grass that I don't like, I'm going to go ahead and cover them up with flowers. But yeah, just feel like it's a little more 3D. It's got more going on. I am still not liking what I'm doing here. Well, we could just go back over it until finally we get a color that we like. No problem with that. I have all day. I ain't going anywhere. Take your time with your painting. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Be in the moment. Let all your frustrations leave and just have a good time hanging out and painting. I'm having a good time hanging out and painting. I hope you are too. There we go. I'm liking that. That's pretty. I like that. I'm so excited to see what your painting looks like at the end. It's going to be so gorgeous. I'm going to add some over here. Oh, there we go. Break it up. Break it up. There we go. I like that. Just break it up. And I like how my fan brush, all my little fibers are kind of separated over here. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. I've got some white areas over here that I'd like to cover up. Yeah, that's working for me. I'm going to go back in with some dark color and just kind of darken it up over here towards the end, giving it a little bit of a shadow, a little bit of a hill. I don't want it to be too dark, but yeah, that's working for me. All right, so I wash my brush. I'm going to go ahead back with my bright filbert. My filbert is going to be my tiny little brush, and the reason why it's called filbert is because the bristles are very short, they're tight and put together, and it's it's round, and it's rectangular and round at the same time, and the bright meaning that the bristles are not that long, so I have a lot more control over it. I'm going to go ahead with the purple, add a tiny bit to my palette. And let's see, we can really add the flowers in any of the locations where we're like, it's just not working for me. I just don't like it. And I'm going to do little dabs. Little dabs. Dab, 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 dab. Don't wipe, just dab. This is looking gorgeous. I'm loving this painting. Now you can make whatever color and shape you want for your flowers. I like the color purple, and I just feel because we added purple into the sky and now we're bringing it down here, I just feel it adds an extra little oomph. There's going to be a big bushel of flowers out here. I'm going to make a lot of flowers. I'm loving that. That's beautiful. Okay, let's add another little one down here. Little bush of flowers. How about over here? Let's add flowers at the base of all of the trees. Now I'm not really thinking, I'm just kind of letting it happen as it goes. Try not to stress out. Painting should be something enjoyable and fun. Make this your happy time of the day, so don't stress. No energy of stressing. Get out of your monkey mind and just let the flowers happen as they happen. Let it be what it is. The more that you practice, the more you do flowers, eventually they come out really cool. And trust me, but you gotta do it. You have to practice. If you don't practice, and yeah, you don't get anywhere. It's not, your paintings aren't going to be that cool because you're not practicing. I'm really liking it. See how the layers just make it look more and more 3D? Let's go ahead and add another flower down here just because, why not? A little bushel of flowers. It just happens to grow right here. Notice how I'm leaving some green so we can see what's behind. Yeah, that works. I'm liking it. I think I'm going to bring these down a little bit in some little areas. That way I can get little bushels going on. I don't want to have a straight line across. So by bringing it down a little, and making it sporadic, it's very sporadic. I'm thinking I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit over here. But I want more grass here, so I'm just gonna bring it down, but leave it so that there's grass in the front. There. This is so relaxing. I'm just having a lot of fun doing this. I'm glad you're here hanging out with me. It's a lot of fun to paint with friends. I am gonna let my flowers dry. And while I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and touch up this forest over here. I am still not happy with it. I'm just gonna fuss with it and fuss with it till finally I get it to where it needs to be, and I think it's getting there. It's pretty close. I'm gonna make it a little bit more bushy on the trees. So let's see. I want to use, okay, good. I want to use this. A little darker colors, and here we go. And we're just gonna make a little bit more. So I want trees. So this is the land, but yet we have trees. Some of them are taller than others. This is going to be this right here. I'm going to make this, and it's going to be a drop off, like a big cliff. Make sure to make your trees varying sizes. That way we don't get any lines going across. Varying sizes of trees and density. It's going to be a hill coming down, and then it's going back up. And then I think I'm going to work just a little bit. So I'm going to use just the side of my fan brush. Just the side. I'm going to work it across. I'm going to be very careful that I don't go into the white area. This type of painting is called Impressionism. Now the reason why it's called Impressionism is because it's the impression. It's the feeling of. I'm not trying to make a photograph. I do not want my painting to look like it was a photograph. I want my painting to look legitimately real. Like it's how I feel, that it's what I think. And this is, you know, memories. And I've never been here before in real life to a waterfall like this, but I think it would be a fun one to visit. I'll work on that tree a little bit, kind of lost it a little. It's going to just fade away. I'm going to straighten up that guy over there. He needs a little straightness. I'm going to add some more over here. More extra little layers of depth. I've got a black line going there, so what I'm going to do is go with my really dark color, and I'm just going to add one over here. That's all I got to do, and it'll balance itself out. See? That was easy. Painting's only stressful if you're in your monkey mind and you make it stressful. Don't make it stressful. Just let it be what it is. Have a good time, enjoy it, relax. I'm liking it. Now, I can come back with some lighter blue. Remember how we made that earlier? We had the original green, and I added a bunch of white. And that's how I ended up with the lighter color. So I got some dark green. I'm gonna clean off my fan brush for a little bit. I like to always clean off my brush, even if I'm working in the same colors, so that way it doesn't gunk up and get all dry and tacky on my brush. So I'm going to take a lot of white, move it over, and bring over some of my green. The more white you add to it, the lighter the green's going to be. The more green you add, the darker it's going to be. That's good. See if we can add a couple little doot-doots. Random little doot-doots. So now add some little tiny doot-doots. There we go. I'm liking that. That looks good. Very happy with it. I'm going to come over here, and I do see some yellow areas. Cover up some of those yellow areas. Bottoms of trees can be bushy, so it's okay to turn your brush sideways a little bit on the bottom, just to give more bushiness. That's good. I really like that. I think I'm going to call her a day. That's so beautiful. Yep. Love it. Now, if you wanted to, which we totally could, to make it a little cooler in the water, we could add some more little doot. This is a dry brushing technique, so it's very minimal with the paint that I'm adding. I'm hardly adding any paint. I see what's going on. It's a little shine in the water. What I can do is go with my big square that I had earlier, and I can wipe it out a little bit and blend it. See those extra tones that are starting to occur? They look nice, don't they? So this will make suggestions that there are deeper areas of the water. Some areas are higher than others. Some are a little deeper. I'm noticing my flowers are taking forever to dry, and I really would like them to be dry before I go on to the next layer. So let's see, what else can we work on and touch up? You know what I like about here? There's some blue behind here, which is suggesting as though this river somehow turns. Like there's a little hidden swimming hole right there. I really like that. That's beautiful. Now, if you wanted to be bushy, you possibly could use this brush on your big tree and make the branches a little thicker. I had thought about that because the branches on this side seem to be about the same size as these ones. And I kind of don't like that because this tree is closer. So how about we give that a try maybe? I don't know. Do I? Do I dare? I do feel like it would, you know, it's closer if I do that one. So let's just, I don't know, let's experiment. If we don't like it, we can always fix it. So I'm going to go back into some green and relax and let the painting be what the painting is. Let it happen, let it just flow, let it be. Oh, I'm loving that. Isn't that beautiful? See what happens if we take risks and we just try something new. Come up with all these awesome new cool things. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. See how it's more bushier and it's got a little bit different look than those guys. Like these ones look like they need more nutrients. This guy, he's a little chubby chub. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Let's make this guy really chubby. I can't control a lot of things that happen in the world, but I can control my world that I'm painting. And I like that. Ooh. Oh, he's a cute one. I almost feel like we need to put a birdie in here. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cute to have a little birdie somewhere? Okay, I gotta stand up. Check out what I'm doing from a distance here. I like it. I could put some highlights in there. Go back with a little bit of green, not much, okay? Just like a tiny little bit here. Just enough to, hi, I see you. I totally see you. You're so beautiful. Yes, you are. You're a beautiful tree. This totally makes me want to go hang out outside right now. I'm all about the forest. Ooh, I'm just loving this tree. This is a lot of work to get to where we are now. Oh boy, I'm so glad you stuck it out with me. I don't like that. I wiped. No. Ah! Oh no! Erase! Erase! Mayday! Mayday! Too much paint. Too much paint. There we go. You're beautiful. Okay. Let's see. Shall we add some highlights now onto the flowers? Because then they would really totally pop. I think they would look so cute. So because these things are taking a million hours to dry, I'm going to go ahead and speed it up with the hairdryer. Drawing the painting, I noticed that there's this like green thing that I don't like, and I kind of want to get rid of it really quick just while it's in my mind. I waited a little bit for it to dry earlier, and I think it's totally dry now, that I could just give it a little coat over here to try to make it disappear. This little yellow thing going on. Oh, I'm gonna have to lay it on thick. Cover up that little green thing. There we go. You know, we could make it into a spaceship. Wouldn't that be totally cool? Like a spaceship. You know what? That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be incognito. Yep, it's gonna be there. Nobody really knows what it is. It's there. We're not quite sure, but it's there. There's a little spot. Don't like these spots. So this is a spaceship, and this is going to be stuff left over from the aliens. and that's why there's spots there, because the aliens did that. Could blend it out a little bit. Lesson learned. Next time I paint, I need to go all the way. I was too busy. I was in too much of a rush. And I wasn't thinking to go this far deep. Next time, I learned my lesson. I still feel like I'm learning. Even though, yes, I am teaching this class and everything, it's still, you know, reminding me of things and thinking about stuff and whatnot. I'm still going through the process just like you are. Okay, so wash my brush. Now, I'm thinking, let's see what it looks like if we add some white in with our purple. So we want to add a lot of white in with that purple. See what color we come out with, if we like it or not. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it. That's a good one. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you mix it well so you don't get those little streaks of white, because that's not really what I'm going for right now with this. Which could totally be cool if you're doing like a double loaded brush technique, which is totally awesome. I'm sure you've seen my class where I talk about roses and doing double loaded brush techniques where you put two colors of paint on the brush. Totally fun. Really hard. Took me a million times to figure it out, but I finally did. Okay, so I'm going to do. Lots of do-doots. Do. Make sure that your do-doots are not perfect little circles and that they're super random. Don't put a lot of thought into this. Let it just happen. Let it be what it is. Just let her happen. I don't know what flowers these are, but these are the flowers that live in my world. Okay, so if this is an alien ship, and this is stuff like orbs and stuff that somehow, I don't know, like they're affecting the atmosphere, this is going to be an alien planet. This is the planet where nothing bad happens and everything is good and there is nothing to stress about. This is the planet of good. I'm going to call it the planet of Nog. Nog is a Gaelic word that means nice. So this is planet Nog. This is where you go on vacation, where it doesn't cost a lot of money or any money, and you go, and if you want to be bothered by people, you can have people and have a party, but if you want to be left alone, then you're left alone. Make sure that your little petals and your flowers are varying sizes and shapes. Notice how I'm not wiping, I'm just kind of dotting everywhere. A lot of doots. If you leave a little bit of green, that's pretty cool. Between, oh, that's a big one. So if I did a big one, I'm just gonna have to do other big ones to make it make sense, right? Ooh, they could be like little tulipy things. Ooh, just totally loving it. I'm loving it. Tulips, little tulips on the planet of Nog. Love it. Now really these flowers really should be bigger than these ones because these ones are closer than those ones are far away. But since we're doing impressionism, whatever. My planet of Nog, this is how the flowers are. That's how they grow. Okay, so I'm gonna wash my brush out. And I was thinking it would be really cute to add some pink in there. Wouldn't that be lovely? But I do need to let this dry a little bit, otherwise they're gonna blend. now I've got red and white. I'm going to go ahead with the round. It's a small round brush, and wash it off pretty good. Wipe off the excess moisture. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use this white. I'll get more when I need it. So I'm going to get a little bit of red, and I'm going to use all of this white. Now the more white that I add to my red, the lighter the pink's going to be. The more red that I add to the white, the darker the pink's going to be. And I kind of want a little light one. So I think I added 1 part red to, I think this was about 2 or, I'd say this is about 3 parts white to 1 part red to get this desired color. Yeah, I'm liking it. It works. Okay, so it's a little thick. Because it's been on my palette for so long, my paint has dried and it's very sticky. Which could be okay. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Ooh, isn't it lovely? I'm having so much fun hanging out with you right now. I'm in my happy place. Now to make these appear a tiny bit smaller, one thing that I can do is layer some paint, some flowers on top of each other. And by doing that, it kind of makes them like they were smaller flowers to begin with. Make sure I wrap around to the side. That looks good. I feel like I want to go with another layer of dark purple now, just to like really layer it, you know, to give it an extra oomph. But this is pretty good. I don't know, maybe sometimes you just gotta let it be what it is. I do find that I tend to overwork things a lot in my paintings, and I shouldn't do that. I've had so many different teachers tell me not to do that, and look, here I am, all these years later, still doing it. So, okay, I think I like them. This to me is not really looking real. But you know what? No, we're not going to fuss with it. We're going to let it be what it is. Now I'm going to give a little bit of a shadow into my water, which is going to look totally cool, right? So let's see, what color do we want to use? Do we want to go with straight black or a dark green? I feel as if we go with a dark green, it's going to really blend in. And I feel like if I go with a black, it'll stand out a little to be like I am a shadow. Now they say there's no black in nature. I beg to differ because my phone case is black. Middle of my eyes is black. I think there's lots of black in nature, and this is my world of Nog. And in Nog, black exists as a color because it just does. Too much paint. Too much. Okay. Now before it dries, I'm going to go back in with my really big brush. Got to dry off all the water. And I'm going to blend it and pull it down. Oh, it's pulling up the blue. Pulling up the blue. Too much. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. We'll just go in here with some blue and blend her back in. Now it's okay to make these longer because this tree is longer, so that's fine. Okay, then I'm going to wavy it back and forth because why? We want ripples. Ripples in the water. Ugh. I really didn't do it on that side. I really should do just a tiny bit on the side just to make it wrappy. Oh, too much paint. Too much paint. Okay. Let me put a little blue on there. There we go. Oh, okay. So here, let me stand up. Look at my painting now from a little bit. I'm liking it. This is working. It's okay. What could we fix? I know what we can fix. We need a shoreline. Yes, we do. That shoreline is not existing. Okay, so my paint is what it is and it doesn't blend in together because I want to add some pure titanium white. I'm going to go ahead and dry this little area. Okay, so check this out. This is totally cool. It's going to be really cool. It's going to be super easy. It's going to be like, oh, and it's totally going to look awesome. So I'm going to put some fresh white onto my canvas. I like to use titanium white. That is my preferred white that I use. I feel like right now for science and what has been invented, I feel like the titanium just seems to be the whitest of the white. Okay, so now we're going to go along the edge. It's going to be where like the tadpoles live. So I'm going to go in here. Okay. And I'm going to do. Oh, went too high with that one. Okay, working. I like what I'm seeing. Bust it up a little. There we go, I like that better. Now here's the piece de resistance here. This little one. We're gonna go in with a little tiny knife. Now we're gonna do. Yep. Hi, how are you? I see you. You're so pretty. Gotta talk to your painting. If you don't talk to your painting, it's not gonna know it's pretty. You gotta tell your painting it's pretty, so it knows it. Yeah. I like it. Okay, so just so I can have it wrap around, I'm going to go ahead and do this side as well to make it so that it makes sense for the viewer. Telling you what, overlapping. That's the key to making things look awesome, is overlapping. Just like building a cake. I'm thinking I am really close to finishing. There's a couple little things that I would like to re-examine a little bit here before I'm to the end. Usually at the end of my paintings, I like to take a moment where I just look at it and I think about it and I'm like here and there. And by doing this, I have a rule with myself. So tomorrow, if I see this painting again and I don't like it, oh well, whatever. I already gave myself the chance to fix it. Because otherwise what's going to happen is you stress out too much and you keep like, oh, I gotta fix it, this and that. No, because then they're never finished, and then you're never going to be happy. And sometimes it is what it is. I mean, a rose is not beautiful when you think of symmetry. It's really not. It's all over the place. So you gotta let it be all over the place. Let it happen. Let it be what it is. I need a little shadow. A little shadow under these plants. I'm going to do little shadows here, just cause. Why not? Everything deserves a little shadow. Remember what I said about having each one of these be their own unique little space? Own unique little bushels of flowers, like they've had no human interaction here to try to make them be something they're not. I didn't do the flowers on this side, which I think is kind of cooler, because it's just, not everything has to wrap, you know? A lot of stuff should wrap, but not everything. So it's all good. I'm gonna give these guys just a little bit on the bottom. And let's think, where are we gonna hang these paintings? I think mine is gonna go in the living room. All the paintings that I paint that I really love, they go in the living room, so that way when people come to my house, they can see how cool I am and all the cool stuff I do. These are, yep. If I don't like a painting so much, I usually end up putting them in like the bedroom. I don't think I'm gonna sell this one. I really like it. A little bit of shadow. I have a couple big ones. I have a lot of little ones, and I think, yeah, it works. It's making sense. You want to vary your flowers with the depth and size. Now, earlier I was talking about adding a bird. And I was thinking that I could add it over the orb to try to hide the orb. But the problem right now that I'm having is my brushes are a little thick. So I'm going to need to go in my little arsenal of brushes. I've got this little handy dandy thing of a million brushes. And I'm going to see if I had a tiny little liner brush. Tiniest little liner brush. See this, I feel like if you're going to be serious with painting, you need to own one of these. I think these are kind of essential. Just a whole bunch of variety of stuff. And I feel like, you know, it's really more if you're actually truly serious. If you're not going to be truly serious, don't invest all the money. This is my little liner brush. Okay. Oh, there went my stand. Okay, everything's good. Okay, so I'm going to go over here. I got my black. And this bird is going to be so far off in the distance that I can't see it. So there's going to be like no detail. So do we want to hide the orb or the green spots? How about we hide the orb and these, that's a spaceship, here's a spaceship, there's another spaceship. I'm going to do a little check mark. Woo! But you know what though, he's all by himself, he's lonely. He needs a girlfriend, he needs a buddy, he needs somebody to talk to. So maybe we'll do another one. But this one will make even smaller, see? So it's like it's there, but it's like you can't see nothing. I like it, it's good. Yep. Two little lovebirds coming to hate. Okay. We're on the planet of Nog. Here's our little spaceship that dropped us off. We're little birdies, and we're gonna come down here, play with the waterfall, and then there's a little lagoon right back there. And we're gonna hang out and swim and have a good time, and then we're gonna float down the river, and we're gonna come over, and don't you know, he's gonna give me a whole bunch of pretty flowers. And we're gonna have a good time hanging out and doing grown-up stuff over here in the grass. What a nice vacation. Well, I'm super happy about this painting, and I hope you are too. If you would like to, I would love to see how your painting turned out. Please text it to me, email me. I'm on all the social medias, so it's very easy to find me. But yeah, let me know how yours turned out. I hope it turned out extraordinarily awesome, just like this one did. And I paint all the time. I'm always doing stuff. So if there's something you want to learn how to do, or you just want to hang out and paint, whatever, give me ideas. Tell me what you're into and what type of stuff you want to paint, and yeah, we'll totally paint together. I will see you next time. I can't figure out how to turn this thing off.